Have you ever felt exhausted, even after resting? Have you ever laid down with a tired body, but your mind kept racing like there was something urgent to solve? It feels like the world slows down, but inside, everything keeps moving at full speed. And the hardest part is trying to explain it to someone who's never felt it. Because it's not just physical tiredness, it's a silent kind of exhaustion that starts in the soul and slowly drains every ounce of faith. That's where the greatest conflict begins. The mind begs for a break, but the spirit, even wounded, still wants to fight. The mind says, "That's enough, I can't go on," but deep down, something won't let you give up completely. That something doesn't always make noise. Sometimes it's just a whisper in the middle of the chaos. But it's exactly that whisper that's been keeping so many people from quitting. And listen, that breath of strength isn't human. It's the Spirit of God Himself, whispering, "Keep going." This inner battle can't be solved with more hours of sleep or a long weekend. It demands a deeper connection, a more sensitive kind of listening. Anyone who's ever reached that level of exhaustion knows. Either you find a reason to keep going, or life turns into an empty routine. And maybe, just maybe, the reason you haven't given up yet lies in that invisible thread still holding you up. A thread that, to human eyes, may look fragile, but carries the strength for your next step. You know that person who always seems okay, always strong, always smiling? On the inside, they might be at their breaking point. Emotional exhaustion doesn't have a face. It hides behind routine, behind responsibility, behind the words, "I'm fine." A tired mind doesn't sound an alarm. It just slowly starts turning off the lights until everything begins to feel too heavy. And the worst part is, even when that happens, the spiritual world keeps calling, but the flesh can barely drag itself forward. The war that happens inside someone who believes is more common than you think. As Galatians 5 verse 17 says, "The spirit desires one thing, and the flesh desires another." The heart longs for God, but the mind is buried under worries, fears, and unresolved wounds. And that's not a sign of spiritual weakness. It's a sign that the battle is still happening. Because someone who's already lost their faith, they don't even try to fight anymore. But if you're still in the fight, even while exhausted, you're still on the path. And the problem is almost never what the person is doing. It's what they're carrying inside while doing it. You can be leading, singing, preaching, helping everyone around you, and still feel empty inside. And do you know why? Because no one ever taught you how to stop and let go of the weight. They taught you how to keep going, but they didn't teach you how to rest in God. And maybe, just maybe, that's where the real relief your soul's been crying out for begins. There are moments when everything inside us just wants to disappear, to run away for a few days, or maybe forever. The soul, wounded and worn out, starts making silent plans to give up, plans no one hears, but God does. Elijah, one of the greatest prophets, went through this in 1 Kings 19. After great victories, he sat under a tree and asked God to take his life. A man of God, powerfully used, and yet, he felt so drained that he wanted to quit everything. What sustained Elijah in that moment wasn't physical strength or his own will. It was the Spirit of God reaching him in a place no one else could. While Elijah was asking for the end, God was preparing provision. While he said, "I've had enough," heaven was whispering, "It's not over yet." Because even the chosen have dark days. But the difference is that, even when everything is falling apart inside, the Spirit remains steady, pushing you forward, even when your feet have no strength. There are times when your spirit isn't crying out for strength, it's crying out for purpose. It doesn't just want you to endure, it wants to remind you why you started. That's what lifted Elijah, and that's what still lifts so many people today. The reminder that there's a purpose greater than the pain of the moment. When the soul wants to run, what it really needs isn't escape, it's a reconnection. A reconnection with what makes the heart beat again. When the mind is loud, everything gets mixed up. Fear, doubt, guilt, pressure. And in those moments, telling the difference between the voice of the Spirit and inner chaos feels impossible. But here's the secret. The Spirit doesn't shout. He speaks softly. While fear screams, "It's going to go wrong," the Spirit gently whispers, "Trust." While your inner critic says, "You're not enough," He calls you by name and says, "I chose you." And like every voice that truly matters, His requires your attention. John 10 verse 27 says, "My sheep hear my voice." But sheep don't listen while rushing, while running over everything. They listen still, quietly, with their hearts inclined. That's why, in the middle of a chaotic mind, the first step isn't to force understanding. It's to seek silence. Silence in the soul, silence from others' opinions, silence from constant comparison. Because God doesn't compete with noise. He waits for you to quiet down on the inside, so He can speak with clarity. So if everything feels tangled and unclear, maybe it's not time to make a decision. Maybe it's time to simply be still before Him. To create intentional moments of simple prayer, no formulas. Just you, God, and a heart willing to listen. In those moments, even a sincere "stay with me" means more than 1,000 rehearsed words. And in that silence, something starts to clear up inside. Something that slowly points to exactly where you need to plant your feet. You don't have to fight this battle alone. That's one of the most overlooked truths among believers. We believe, but still try to fix everything with our own strength. Jesus knew there would be days like this. That's why He promised a comforter. John 14 verse 16 makes it clear, "I will ask the Father, and He will give you another helper to be with you forever." The Holy Spirit isn't just a presence. He is internal help, a relief that flows from the inside out. When you no longer know what to pray, when even your words disappear, He intercedes. Romans 8 verse 26 says that the Spirit intercedes for us with groanings too deep for words. In other words, when your prayer turns into nothing but tears, He translates every drop. It's not that God doesn't hear. It's that He hears even what you can't say. And while you think you're losing control, you're actually being rebuilt from the inside out. You're not going crazy, you're being restored. God doesn't rip the burden away with force. He holds you up while you learn how to carry it with grace. Sometimes He doesn't change the situation. He changes your inner structure so the situation won't destroy you. And that process is silent, almost invisible, but completely transformative. You start to realize that what once crushed you now strengthens you. And maybe, just maybe, your next step isn't about conquering something outside, but recognizing who lives inside. There's pain that seems meaningless in the moment we feel it. The exhaustion, the mental battles, the days when just getting out of bed is an act of courage. All of it feels like useless weight, until time reveals the purpose behind it. Romans 8 verse 28 says, "We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, all things, even the ones you wish you could avoid." God doesn't waste tears, He doesn't overlook pain, and He never allows suffering without a purpose. The internal battles you're facing today might be the exact training you need to handle what's coming tomorrow. While you think you're being broken, God is shaping you, because He didn't create you to be fragile, but He also doesn't expect you to be strong all the time. He allows certain burdens, not to crush you, but to show you how much you can grow when you're held up by Him. Pain without direction breaks you, but pain with purpose, it transforms you, and God transforms everything. So if there's still a voice inside you saying, "Keep going," pay attention. It's not just willpower. It's heaven pushing you forward. Because if your spirit is still crying out, "Keep going," it's because God still has plans. Plans that go beyond the pain. And maybe, just maybe, you're starting to realize that even discouragement has something to teach you. What feels like the end of everything might actually be the beginning of something much greater. The mind wants to give up, but the Spirit screams, "Keep going." And that voice, as subtle as it may seem, isn't coming from you. It's coming from heaven. It's not psychological. It's not coincidence. It's the Spirit of God inside you, reminding you that there's still a living promise. Even when everything around you says otherwise, He is still sustaining you from within. And the one who holds you on the inside will lift you on the outside. Something powerful is happening right now. As you hear these words, heaven is restoring your strength. Because God doesn't work with improvisation. He works with purpose. And if He brought you this far, it means there's something beyond this moment. It doesn't matter how many times you've thought about quitting. What matters is that you're still here. And that alone is proof that God is not done with you yet. The one who lifted you once will lift you again. Because this battle doesn't end halfway through. It ends in victory. But that victory begins with a decision. The decision to trust. To surrender again. To speak to God today like someone who can't pretend to be strong anymore. And if your spirit is still whispering, keep going. It's because heaven is already preparing the next step of your journey.